Hello, everyone. Welcome to Therapy Clips with Dr. O. I am from Human Service Consultants. Today, our topic will focus on alcohol. It is often difficult for people to stop drinking when they enter treatment. Some reasons for this are as such. Triggers for alcohol use are everywhere. It is sometimes hard to do anything social without facing people who are drinking. So a question to you is, and this is just food for thought, how can you get together with your friends without drinking? Many people who use alcohol in response to internal triggers like depression and anxiety that don't seem to go away will have a drink. It's difficult for people to realize that sometimes the alcohol can cause the depression. Here's a question for you. What moods and feelings make you want to have a drink? If a person is dependent on an illicit drug and uses alcohol less often, alcohol may not be viewed as a problem until the person tries to stop drinking. So what challenges have you faced in stopping drinking since you entered into treatment? Alcohol affects the rational thinking part of the brain. It is difficult to think reasonably about a substance that makes thinking clearly more difficult. So how does it feel to be sober at a party and watch people drink and act as if they're not thinking very well? Alcohol dulls the rational brain. Alcohol lowers people's inhibitions and can make people more sexually aggressive, less self-conscious, and more sociable. People who use alcohol to decrease inhibitions and help them socialize may feel uncomfortable without it. In what ways have you depended on alcohol for sexual or social reasons? Many of us grow up using alcohol to mark special occasions. It is hard to learn how to celebrate those times without drinking. Food for thought. What special occasions did your family celebrate with alcohol? How do they celebrate now? In many families and social groups, drinking is a sign of strength and maturity. Drinking often is seen as a way of being a part of the gang or a part of the social group. Here's a question for you. Do you feel less without it? Or do you feel more with it? So, do you feel less when you're not drinking, or do you feel more when you are drinking? If so, in what ways? Drinking can become linked to certain activities. It can seem difficult during early recovery to do those things without a beer or a drink. For example, eating certain kind of foods, like when you're eating crabs. We associate eating crabs with drinking beer. So now you want to eat crabs with your friends and with your relatives. You have to say no to drinking beer. So what will you drink? Think about that. Also, drinking is associated with certain events, like going to a concert or to a sporting event or even staying at home and watching sports on TV. So when you're watching sports on TV, what will you drink now? What activities seem to go with drinking for you that we didn't mention already? It is important to remember that everyone who drinks will stop drinking when they're in recovery. And so when they stop drinking, they have these type of problems that we mentioned. So as you work through these difficult situations and you spend more time being sober, it will get easier with time. But in the beginning, you can expect that it's going to be difficult to be in situations where other people may be drinking or using drugs and you can't do it. So it's best that you not attend these type of situations and go to parties and events that's sponsored by NA or AA, because this is where you have your sober network and people who are trying to actively stay clean and away from drugs and alcohol. So establishing a network with these individuals would be the best thing for you to do. Remember, we must change people, places, and things to maintain sobriety and to stay on the road of recovery. This is Dr. O from Human Service Consultants. I'd like to thank you for your time today as we talk about alcohol, certain events, and special occasions that may happen, and you just so happen to be there, and alcoholic beverages and drugs are being asked of you to take and to drink, and you don't want to. So what will you do? Prepare yourself ahead of time so that you will not run into situations that will cause you to slip or relapse. We do not want you to break your sobriety because of a good time. So until we meet again, I always say, love always and be blessed.